them down!
So welcome guys and gals back to Congress Play. Today we are going to discuss about the Berserker, the special melee infantry introduced in the season 7 Vikings season when CB was actually Congress Blade was actually really good. I mean it's still good but the bugs and stuff. So anyway, the Berserkers video was highly requested by one of our subscribers, Roy. Shout out to him. And yeah, sorry, it took me quite a while. First of all, in this video, I'm going to be explaining the veterancies, the traits, the formations, the skills, all that jazz. The next video will be covering about the all the things that you have to know, little tips and pieces, when to know, when to use the things, what veterancies are the best to use, where and when, what skills are the best to use, and all that jazz. You know how it goes. So first of all, veterancy is the top line, and then we have the bottom line. In here in the Berserker, it's not about defensive or an offensive line. It's actually more depending on what skill you're heavily focusing on. For example, the top line majorly focuses on our third skill, which is the frenzy skill, and the bottom line majorly focuses on our first two skills. So as you can see, this skill focuses on the berserk, and then we have some of the skills that focuses on the ordnance charge, the first skill. For now, what I have seen from other YouTubers and players and everyone that's playing, the top line is the best one. So the most of the things to begin with is with the top line, berserkers will no longer be able to get dazed by the normal attacks, as you should know, which is actually huge because there's only a number of eight number of them, and if they can't get dazed, that means they will keep on dealing the damage even when the enemy is dealing damage. They get some extra health, which is great. And then you have a little buff on the first ability, also on the top line, 10% reduced damage during that skill, or when you use that skill. That's a 10-second of damage reduction, which is huge. At the same time, you have this absolute massive skill. The number of enemies each also can attack is increased by 1, which is just, as you can say, the double damage. And for the last bug, it's 2000 extra health when you get out of that frenzy ability, which is just huge. So that's why the top line is the best to use right now. If anything changes, obviously I will tell you guys. But as for the bottom line, you get some reduced cooldowns on your ability, some extra stats and shit you will be able to see on top, like written on top of here. So yeah, so top line, the best line. So let's get into the traits. Instead of unit orders, I would first like to tell you about the unit traits. Then you will be able to understand the unit orders much better. So thus for the battle, just like our engine cards, berserkers actually also takes rage. They generate rage, and then that can be converted in one of the ability. Although they generate the rage when they take the damage or when they kill an enemy unit. Even if the hero kills anything or a hero, they will also gain the rage. At the same time, they will also gain rage when they see an enemy coming towards them or something like that. Just a little small mode, but it's just something you should have to know about. Okay, so while at Berserker type into rage during the Berserk, greatly increases the carpet attributes and blah 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 blah. It means the third ability, which we'll talk about in just a second. So another thing, that hidden thing that we have to talk about, Warpath, which you don't have any indicator to show. It's just something that you have to keep in mind. So when they have a 10 max Warpath stacks, that means every time the Berserkers attack like 10 enemies, when they attack 10 enemies or 10 strikes on an enemy, they will get an 60% damage reduction as well as 120 slashing damage increase for 4.5 seconds, and it will keep on stacking up. At the same time, when the stacks are done, they will recover their health more, and which is huge. Then we have the Brutal Elite, the 10 less leadership during the season, which is already gone, so it's no matter, it does not matter. They are weak versus heroes. This is a new skill that they added this season in order to reduce the damage the heroes were taking previously and stuff, because the units were getting overpowered. So yeah, but they still are extremely good even after this. So let's talk about the formation clearly. So the dispersed formation, all you have to know is that, like always, less range damage taken, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Although you don't want to take the range damage, you don't want to stay in front of the range damage, or you don't want to stay under the arrow fire when this happens. You just want to get out of there. So Yeah, remember that. And the second formation is our line formation. They will make a line formation and they will stay together with each other. This is probably the best formation that you will be using at all times because they are much easier to manage. However, you should know that in their line formation they are less responsive towards you, meaning they're gonna go off. If they see an enemy, they're just gonna go behind them. Even if you ask them to stay on the formation, then no, they will not. They will see an enemy miles away and then they're gonna start running towards it, and then they're gonna die something from something really stupid. And it's less when you're dealing with the dispersed formation. They're actually more responsive because they have more area to uh, go around. Okay, they just look really bad in this formation, so make sure that you're keeping them a lot away from the enemies. Okay, finally, let's get into unit orders. The first unit order is our Odin's charge. Every time you use this charge, you will gain 4 stacks of Warpath, which is huge because 4 out of 10 that's already there because of just one ability. And during this ability, they will take less damage already. Then this damage can be increased by the top one. I mean, damage reduction can be increased by the top Veterancy line for 10 extra percent, which is huge. This ability is really good when you want to the berserkers to charge on the enemy which is kind of far away, or do you just want your berserkers to be faster and get into the battle. Also at the same time they will gain the 4 stacks of warpath, which is alone is enough justifying to use this ability. So the second ability is our Berserker's Assault. Every time you use this ability, they will spin around twice on an enemy and just kill them. Like they become like a Beyblade. Yeah, they become like a Beyblade and just scratches up on whatever enemies comes near them. They have an area attack on this ability and they will just deal shit ton of damage to whoever comes in front of them. At the same time, they also have 4 stacks of Warpath during this ability, which is huge. The damage of this ability can be increased by the bottom skill a huge amount. As you can see, one skill is there and there will be a bit more in there. At the same time, the cooldown of this ability can be reduced by the one of the Doctrains that is available in the unit challenges of the Berserkers. Also, one thing you have to remember that with the Doctrine in, the cooldown for this ability only leaves to 1 second. That means you can just spam this ability. But another thing you have to remember, this Berserker ability does spends your rage. So yes, you need to have certain amount of rage in order to use this ability. But if you're using this ability inside an enemy unit, you will gain that range and more back very soon. So don't have to worry about that. So finally, the frenzy ability that makes Berserkers so good in so many situations. Immediately recovers 4500 health, which is a huge thing. And then they are immune to crowd control effects. That means they cannot be dazed, knocked down, or anything like that from anything during this ability, which is have a duration of 5 seconds. The damage increased by 50%, which is a huge thing. Let me say, huge 50% damage increase. But at the same time, their damage taken is reduced by 35%. Sorry, increased. The damage taken is increased by 35% for 5 seconds, and the berserkers cannot be controlled during this cycle. That means, yeah, you will lose the control over them. So, yeah, use them at your own risk. I will talk about more about this in the next video. So, let's go and check about the doctrine, which is the last thing. So the most important 2 doctrines that I'm using are this one, which you can actually get from the quest line during the season or through the special event, which one was actually going on right now, where you could get the doctrine which you previously were not able to get. But basically, after you have unlocked the berserkers, you're supposed to get a quest line from one of the NPCs on the lobby or in the city or on the castle, wherever you want to call it, and then you will be able to do some missions and then get this doctrine. However, if you are not able to get this doctrine, well, no worries, there are much better doctrines to use. Then you have this Berserker's Ursa doctrine, where you can get a 360 health extra and reduce damage taken by 50. Considering they are defenseless against range, it kind of gets in handy, you know. Anyways, I'm also using the Breakthrough Doctrine just for the pure damage, slashing damage, because their main primary damage is slashing. I'm using the Penetration because I don't have anything else to use. I already probably can use this, but no. Also, another doctrine you can use is the piercing defense. Obviously, if you can use the Iron Sight, please do so. You also have the Siege Fighter doctrine, where the damage is increased by 100. There's one more doctrine that you might be able to use, which is this one, increase slashing the blunt damage Now blunt damage won't affect them, but still as an extra 70 slashing damage, if you're able to use this, probably a good idea. At the same time, there is another breakthrough doctrine which you can use by the Berserkers, which is the Assassination Doctrine. The Assassination, that means they will deal more damage to the hero. So that skill, that debuff they have, where they deal that 30% less damage to the heroes, will be gone. So it might be an idea to actually use this doctrine. It's all up to you. So this is probably it for Berserkers. I hope you like this video. If you do like this video, please like, subscribe and share. And the tactics video will be already be uploaded and you can see it over here, and probably a montage or the versus video, whatever I will turn up making, will be here. At the same time, I have to remind you there will be shorts and more guides coming for this game. I will be making guides on each of the weapons and NPCs and everything that you can do outside the actual city, actual lobby, because if you don't know, if you press M, you can go to the watchman, go outside the city, do all that jazz. And I will also making a guide obviously about the market, which is a huge thing in the game, and how to make silver and how to use the market and exploit it for your own gain, and how to get the best weapons possible. So I see you in the next one, and you guys have fun.